Hello, everybody. My name is Colton, and I will be talking about Chapter 10 International Defense Profile. So, the first question for Chapter 10 is briefly describe each of the four rationales provided when a country decides to use aggressive military force and provide examples for these. So, the four rationales are defense, deterrence, compellant, and swaggering. So defense is when a military force directed to prevent attacks or reduce damage. Deployment of military force to defeat an adversary or attack an opponent's territory. Purpose is to destroy, counterforce targeting, weapons aimed at strategic force of enemy. Countervalue targeting, weapons aimed at soft targets. Number two is deterrence. This is to protect country from attack from adversary. Involves the threat of military power. Purpose is to ensure behavior. Number three is compellant. Compellant is the deployment of military forces to persuade an adversary to change their behavior. Purpose is like persuasion, so practically talk to the other side and tell them to knock it off and they really don't want to fight. And last one is swaggering. Swaggering is the deployment of military force to enhance prestige, pride, or personal ambitions. Generally does not result in hard combat. So swaggering is when you place your troops in a nation just to show that you're bigger than them and really they should not take you on. Those were the four rationales provided when a country decides to use aggressive military force. Number two, what are your thoughts after watching the TED Talk on nuclear weapons? What should be the international regulation on the use of nuclear weapons? So after watching the TED Talk by Erica Gregory, I would say that it doesn't really scare me about how she talked about how nuclear weapons can become such a problem. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a concern because they're so powerful. And she talked about how one nuclear weapon can wipe out, 100,000 or more people, and it only can be as big as your cup or whatever she was saying. So I think it could be a big deal, but I haven't really seen it in the past be a big deal. I mean, yeah, we did drop 2 nuclear bombs on Japan, but that's just because we were in World War II. And they really weren't going to stop unless we showed them the kind of power we have. And the only thing I took away from this is that nuclear weapons can become a problem, but only if the side that has them just completely gets out of hand and just goes AWOL and just decides that, okay, I don't really care what other people think, but I'm going to drop this nuclear weapon on this person. And if they do, come back at us, then I don't really care. Because if you do drop a nuclear weapon on a country nowadays, it's going to be nuclear warfare. And that's not going to end well for anyone. So, and the only country I feel like we have to worry about now is North Korea, because Kim Jong-un and their high-powered leaders just test and drop nuclear weapons on about anyone they want, which I don't know why, because anyone could really take them out, but no one chooses to because no one wants to start that big of a deal. Alright, so that's kind of like my information that I got from this TED Talk. And question 2, part 2 is what should be the international regulation of the use of nuclear weapons? I mean, I don't think you really should have international regulation. I don't think you need one, because people should not launch nuclear weapons unless I don't even think they should launch them. The only time I think you should launch a nuclear weapon is if someone launches one at you. But that should never happen, because like I just said, when one person launches a nuclear weapon and the other launches back, it's nuclear warfare, and we know what nuclear weapons are capable of. So, I mean, there shouldn't be an international regulation, because it shouldn't be a problem in the first place, because no one should do it in the first place. It's just such a bad thing that internationally, like you can't really regulate it because people just will do it out of nowhere. So that's kind of what I think about that. And also, should the United States be allowed to maintain its nuclear arsenal? How should the world leaders respond to the countries like Iran or North Korea developing nuclear weapons? See, that's what I was just talking about. So, like, the question 2, part 3 of this, how should the world leaders respond to the countries like Iran? I mean, you can try to convince them to stop, but at the end of the day, they're going to do what they think is right. And obviously, North Korea just likes to launch nuclear weapons, so can't really tell a country not to do that. Like if we have to invade them to stop them, we should. That's what I'm trying to get to. And should the United States be allowed to maintain its nuclear arsenal? I mean, yeah, every country should be allowed to maintain its nuclear arsenal because if North Korea gets nuclear weapon happy, then we got to have a way to defend ourselves, you know? All right, and so the 2 articles I read about are Iran's nuclear escalation. So Iran's getting a little nuclear happy too, as they're violating restrictions to underground nuclear facility. So we need to kind of watch out for them. And Russia blames the U.S. for not doing anything in the nuclear arms treaty. So this treaty was started by President Obama in 2010 with other presidents from surrounding countries, and now they're looking to kind of restart it and renew it. But the United States haven't really put in an effort to do that. So there's my Chapter 10 reflection.